Hello and welcome to video related to cell referencing used in Excel formulas. This video will give you an overview of different types of referencing used in Excel and how to review them. However, if you need more information of how to use them in Excel, then I would suggest you to look for some online material since it is outside the scope of this course. Nonetheless, the explanation I am providing here will definitely help you understand what type of referencing is used in the file you have and accordingly look for more information if required. So primarily you can refer to a cell or a range of cells using following approaches. Using cell coordinates either through A1 style or R1 C1 style. Second one is structured referencing used inside tables. Giving names to a cells or range of cells. And finally circular referencing. So let us get started with our sample file being provided to us. This is the sample file which we will be using throughout this video. Now, default setting in Excel is A1 style references. By this, I mean that your columns will be referenced using alphabets like this over here, A, B, C and D and so on. And your rows will be referenced through numbers like 1, 2, 3 and so on. Here you can see that this is a A1 style references which we have used. There is also another setting which is preferred by some of the people and it is called as R1 C1 style references. Here both the column and row are referenced using number. So instead of this A, B and C, here also 1, 2, 3 will be displayed. Similarly like 1, 2, 3 is being displayed on rows. Now since majority of people stick to default setting of A1 style like this, they find R1 C1 style confusing and difficult to understand. However, supporters of R1 C1 style will say that it is actually less confusing, more robust and less error prone. Now in this video, I don't want to take any sides. I would suggest you to look out for the first thing in the file, what kind of referencing is used, else you will get incorrect results from the formulas. So if you are familiar with A1 style referencing, you can change the setting quickly inside the sheet if it is using R1 C1 style. Excel will change most of the formulas within your file based on the style which you are using while toggling between this setting. So currently if you see the formulas, all of these are being used A1 style referencing. So if I want to change it to R1 C1 style, I can go to File, then select Options, then select formulas and over here you can see R1 C1 style. So let us click this and click OK. So immediately you can see my formulas has been automatically changed by Excel into R1 C1 style references. Even my columns are being referenced through 1, 2, 3 and accordingly. Now if you would like to understand how to use all of these formulas R1 C1 style, I would suggest you to look at some online material, since explaining that will be outside of scope of this video. The purpose of this video just to make you aware that the kind of settings which can be used in Excel. Also, even if Excel changes the formulas automatically, still you should be careful while changing these settings, because sometimes you would have to change few formulas manually if they are referring to other file which is in a different style. So pay attention to what kind of setting is being used in the file. So for the time being, let us go back to our default settings through Files, Options, then go to Formulas. Let us uncheck this and it will go back to our original setting of A1 style references. Now another thing which you have to be careful is kind of a absolute or relative referencing. Now imagine you have a certain input cells referenced in a formula and you want to copy and paste the formulas across rows or columns. In such instances, you want to keep certain input cells as constant and others as variable or changing when you copy and paste the formulas. In such instances, you would want to use a combination of absolute and relative referencing. For a reference cell or a range of cells, you can have the following options. The first one is both rows and columns are allowed to change when you copy and paste the formulas. Second one is both rows and columns are not allowed to change when you copy and paste the formulas. The third setting can be rows are only allowed to change and not the columns. And finally the fourth setting can be columns are allowed to change and not the rows. Now let us take an example over here, the way it can be referenced. So whenever you want to make anything as a constant, you will have to put a dollar sign like this. So in current sheet, you can see I have put a dollar sign before row number, and here I have put a dollar sign before a column reference. So here in the first setting, you can see the rows has been kept as a constant, and here the column has been kept as a constant. So this is referring to this fifth row. Whenever I copy this formula across this row, it will keep on referring to this fifth row only. Even if I copy this formula down rows, it will still refer to this particular row only. And similarly, like here you can see this is referring to this current column, which is C, and this is the cell which is referring. Now, even if I copy this formula across these columns, you can see it will still refer to this particular column and this cell. So if I go to this cell, here also you can see still it is referring to this particular column. However, this column has changed to D, but it is still referring to this particular cell. Now, this is kind of a combination of absolute and relative referencing. So let us take an example. This is Abhay and this is Vijay. Now, simply if I refer to this cell, it will be a fully relative referencing. When I copy this cell across this one, it will automatically change. Instead of that, let us say if I press F4 and make it fully absolute referencing. So even if I copy this, it won't change. It will refer back to that particular cell. Now in these instances, you can see that I have placed dollar sign before row as well as column. So both of these are being constant. Now instead of that, let us say if I want to make it only column as a constant, I can press F4 till the time the dollar sign is coming only before the column. And now if I copy paste, it will refer back to that column only. Similarly, I can press F4 and bring dollar sign only before the row number and press enter. Now even if I copy down, it will still refer to that particular row. And now if I copy across the column, it will refer to that row, but column references will change. So with this, you can see there is a 4 combination which we have seen, where we can change the row and column references whether to be kept as a constant or a variable. Now the style which you are using in Excel file will have an impact. Whether you are using A1 style references or R1 C1 style references, it will have an impact. So when you are using A1 style, you are using a dollar sign. And when you are using R1 C1 style, you will have to put constant in square brackets. So let us see, like here we have kept this row as a constant. And now if I go and change this setting to R1 C1, and let us see how that dollar sign changes. So immediately you can see whatever I have to keep it constant, it is being kept in a square brackets. So this will have an impact the way you are using A1 style references or R1 C1 style references. So let us change this setting to our default setting. Let us go to File, Options, Formulas and deactivate this, and it will refer back to our original A1 style references. Now the other setting which I was talking earlier was giving names to a particular cell or range of cells. In real world, each one of us has a particular name. For example, my name is Abhay, and similarly you may have some name or a different name. Imagine instead of this, if we had some unique number given, like some unique identity numbers given by government to us. Now in daily use as a human, we would find it very difficult to handle and remember. Hence we have started using an alternative system of names. Taking the same analogy inside Excel, you can use or give names to a cells or range of cells. One single name might be repeated on a different sheets or can occur only once within the same file. There are different approaches through which you can define a name to a particular cell or a range of cells. Also, when names are referred to a range of cells can be a dynamic. In other words, those range of cells can automatically increase or decrease based on the data in the sheet. This type of referencing is done using functions like offset or index. So if you see any such functions are used while giving a names, you can quickly say that it is dynamic. And once names are defined, you can use it inside your formulas or anywhere else in your file. This will help you identify the cell and also understand the formula more logically and easily. So let us quickly have a look at the 2 tabs in this current file, where I have used the names in this current file over here, and in this file we have used the plain A1 style references. Now let us looking at these formulas, it might be a little difficult to understand, and we will have to locate these formulas and with the cells which are they are referring to. Like here it is referring to this sales row, and then it is referring to this operating expenses. Similarly, if I go to this another tab where I've actually referenced each one of the cells with the proper names. So this particular cell is being referenced as COGS. This is the reference as operating expenses. This is as admin expenses, and this is selling expenses percentage. Now, if I go to this formulas view, here immediately you can see all of the formulas are referring to a particular cell with the names it is being given. So it is very easy to understand. So here immediately I can see that sales multiplied by COGS percentage, sales multiplied by operating expenses percentage, and across the rows and columns I can see the same consistent formula is being applied. I can immediately identify if there are any discrepancies when I am using this kind of a names inside a file. This is really helpful when you have these formulas across the sheet or multiple rows, and to identify any discrepancies very quickly. So we should be using names whenever it is possible. Now, if you want to identify whether this kind of setting is being used inside your file, you can quickly identify that using the inbuilt tool called as Name Manager. This is present under Formulas and this Name Manager. Now, in this window, you can see a list of all the names will get displayed. Now here under filter, you can filter out whether it is being scoped as a workbook or worksheet, the scope which is being defined. If there are any errors present in the names, those also you can filter out, or names without errors, those also can be filtered out. If there are defined names and table names, you can filter out like this. So you can clear the filter. Now let us say if you want to list all the names being defined in your current Excel file, you can do that as well. So let us go to a blank sheet. Let us select this blank cell, go to formulas, then select using formulas, then select paste names, and let us select paste list, and immediately you can see all the names being used in your current formula are being listed over here. The first column contains the names and second column contains the references of cell or range of cells it is being given as a particular name. So this might be really useful for you when you are documenting or auditing your Excel file. It can also be used from Inquire add-in workbook analysis reports. So let us see quickly. Now within this there will be an option. Now if you scroll down a little bit, it should be range with named items over here. So this is the same list which you are getting with the paste list. So if you want to know more about this, you can watch my another video related to workbook analysis reports. So now in next video, we will look at tables, structured referencing and circular referencing. So stay tuned guys.